To every Imam out there, you are preaching peace. That's what you claim, as Islam means the way to peace. Yet, I want to ask you a question. How will your way of life, once I mimic that, lead to peace through my mirror neurons? What are mirror neurons? Mirror neurons are the ability as a child to learn from observed behavior. As a child, if somebody would tell me, eat, I would never have understood it because that would just be noise without I understand what is the meaning behind that noise. And in order for me to understand the meaning behind that noise, someone showed me the visual example of eating. And that is why my mirror neurons understood what that noise was referring to. So now, how will your teachings, once I mimic it through that same process of my mirror neurons, lead to peace? And if you cannot explain how that will lead to peace, that means only one thing. Peace was never your interest. What was your interest? Power, recognition, and validation seeking. So why are you seeking validation? Why are you not seeking for peace? Why are you preaching violence? Because if your teachings cannot be logically explained how it will lead to lasting peace, then all what is still left is violence. That explains why there is so much terrorism worldwide going on. So if you cannot explain yourself, please listen to the next sentence. What is causing us to be mindful of our actions? The understanding that we cannot escape the consequences of our actions impacts on the whole, and that is why within Islam we have told الذرة في 50,000 سنة. What does that mean? The smallest action, even that one we have to consider how it will impact reality in a time span of up to 50,000 years. And that 50,000 years was just as an example to the ones who don't understand the cycle of rebirth. If you believe there is an escape modus, we can go outside of this reality. If you believe we will not exist after this reality, either of those two views, the view of paradise and hell outside of this reality, and the non-believers that believe there is life size to exist after this reality, both of them are not understanding that there is no escape feature, and by that the mind has the logical ground to eventually dismiss harm that would ripple out in next lives if we would come back randomized in all life forms. But once you understand there is no escape and we shall come back as a bacteria, then as an insect, then as an animal, and then back as a human or reasoner, and that everyone will mimic through their mirror neurons the actions, ripple impacts we have left behind. What does it mean? If we justify that the government can punish, so kids will believe punishment is the way. And so when we come back, the state will even be of the citizens that they will start believing slapping TVs is how you fix them, because that is all what they have been exposed to, not towards understanding. And so our actions have an impact that will ripple even after we are not here currently anymore, because others will mimic that through their mirror neurons. So the only way that this reality could be created perfectly was if we are literally the whole and there is no difference. And that makes also sense, because what is Qul Huwallahu Ahad? If we are looking to the Quran, chapter 112, it's literally explaining who is God. And it explains Allah, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Ahad does not mean wahid. One is not the same as ahad. Ahad means the oneness of that one. You strip away our ego, and now it's not one, but everyone together of us forms that one. That means, yes, you and me are from the same. And does that much? Inna ilayhi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What does it mean? There are no hierarchies between us, because at the end of the road, we came all from the same point, and so we will return to the same point without any difference. You and me are equal. The people we try to dehumanize today are ourselves. There is no difference between a cleaner and between a king. That illusion is the justification to create or cause harm to one based on their status versus idolize the other also based on their status. And that is not allowed. Why? This mentality will ripple towards harm. Because what is haram? Haram or forbidden is a terminology that is expressing if we follow that path, this path will lead to death. This path will lead to self-destruction over time because it carries inequality. That's why we could never idolize status. You are today called an Imam. That is a title given by who? Another human that should be equal to all of us. Yet people assume because you have that status that you know what you are talking about and will take whatever you have said without every time re-questioning your teachings. At that second, we are idolizing you and are not anymore self-reasoning. And that is causing to eventually war over time, as people will not be able to discern falsehoods from truth on their own, as they will have to refer to their shepherds. Ask this Imam, he knows it better than me. And by that, those citizens, those followers are telling, honestly, I haven't understood it myself, but I am just following because he has some status, and by that, it must be that he knows it better than myself. And that allows status to lie and abuse this trust. And how will the citizens know it? By the fruits once they feel the effect. But by that time, it is already too late. Islam and peace-seeking is preventing harm, not wait till harm has happened and then say, I wish I had acted upon that with reasoning. So, by that, let's explain again shortly how to escape harm. The only way is where there is no way we believe there is an escape modus. That means hell or paradise is here based on the actions we are showing, based on the actions we are tolerating from others. Because why? Why would we tolerate others' actions even if it goes against our own moral values? Is simply because we fear being abandoned, and that is the shame and fear ideology many preachers are using. If you don't follow us, then we will abandon you. And that will cause the followers to say, I don't want to be on my own. I still want to have connections to my family, to my friends. I still want to have connections. And by opposing the views that their leader is opposing on them and preaching, that risks abandonment. And by that, kids will feel compelled to simply go with whatever the lies are being told, just to have still access to the family they have, because the preacher is mind controlling their family with those lies and fear and shame-based practices. You will be condemned. You will be looked down. You are a munafiq. You are a hypocrite. You are Satan. We have to condemn you. Do not contact this person anymore. Stay away from him. But the truth seeker tries to reason like what I am doing here. I ask you to engage with those teachings and explain to me how will your mindset of punishment not lead to more violence? Because if you believe that a just God is first of all separate from us and will use punishment to eventually make us being obedient, then why would I not mimic that behavior towards my own kids and punish them whenever they commit something I do not like? It's the same mindset, it's the same logic. And if you are tying that this is the way, the ultimate way, and are respecting it, then my mirror neurons will believe this could be right. And then it will try to mimic that way of that God that believes punishment is the way, but we are reaping what we sow. And if we are just, how can we be hypocritical by claiming you cannot punish, yet we are the first ones to punish? That would be not a just God, but an unjust ruler. That looks more to how the government is operating. And that ties in to the understanding that the government has the authority and the power right now to really imprison people, what causes fear-based compliance. And then they are working with who? With religious leaders. Saudi Arabia is paying someone to commit is allowing imams to eventually earn commission by Hajj and Umrah. That means if you are getting commissions for sending people to the Hajj or to the Umrah, then what will happen? You will have to defend those governments, as you still are tied and relying on that income. Otherwise, the income might soon stop, and maybe they will eventually arrest you next time you visit their country, because speaking out in a bad daylight against anyone of the UAE, that means Saudi Arabia or Dubai or any of these countries involved, comes with a heavy experience, because they will impose on us 5 years standard imprisonment, fear-based approach. The government uses fear and they control knowledge streams, schools and science. That's why they are funding them, so that not the truth of our mirror neurons will be exposed, as this will cause people that are following status to now reconsider why are they following a teaching that will cause self-harm. Why would they do that? Once you start questioning the government by the knowledge of your mirror neurons, then the government has a very tough spot to defend themselves, because what will their response be? Mr. Government or Mr. Judge, if I will mimic your approach of arresting through my mirror neurons within a societal structure conditioned to be obedient workers by stripping away that knowledge out of the education system. And by that, we aren't even aware, yet you say we should be taken accountable because you claim we know what we have done. But how can you claim that we are aware of our actions if that was intentionally stripped away from the school system? Without the knowledge that I have mirror neurons, I can impossible understand the long-term impacts from my actions, how others will mimic it, because if I tell them don't punish and I punish them myself to show how frustrated I am for them to act in that way, how could I possibly have known that my child, when he was punishing another weaker peer in school, that he was actually mimicking me through his mirror neurons? What are mirror neurons to begin with? Do you start to understand the tough spot? And how will arresting lead to peace? Is that not explaining why citizens that are observing this behavior, where you clearly are justifying it and not speaking out against the toxic example the government themselves have shown, by that you agree in silence that this must be the way, is that not the reason why we see citizens kidnapping others in their view of justice? Next, what is fining? Is fining not the same ideology where you say you either pay a fine or you will be imprisoned? Is that not a threat? It's either one way or the other. Either you pay or you get punished. In both ways, it's a punishment. That means there is no freedom. There is only freedom. How do you want to be punished? Financially or financially and physically? That is the choice they are giving to us. So when we are mimicking that through our mirror neurons, what is that example? Extortion. Now the same judge will say, how can you possibly justify such harm? There is nothing ever that can justify this harm, nothing. He will even claim, you can come up with whatever reasons. I can impossible agree on it, unless we are talking about the government. Then suddenly they will be silent and say, yeah, but that is the government. This is just the way how it goes, because they are fearful to express truth. And by that, they are saying, as long you are strong and can be able to oppress others, then you can do whatever you want. Just be the strongest. It's again incentivizing us to be more violent and harmful. No peace is found in that place. Next, how will imprisonment lead to peace once mimicked through the observers, their mirror neurons? Is that not forcefully enslavement? Indeed, this is forcefully enslavement. Once you mimic it as the citizen, then the same judge will claim this is the most cruel thing any human could do. But as long it's not them, it's all okay. And that teaches us what? It teaches us being unjust, because the judge is now unjust, where we will ask the same judge, what will now your unjust behavior teach me through my mirror neurons? Being unjust is acceptable? You have sworn that only the truth and nothing will be ever be considered higher than the full truth within your judge position. Yet, it shows your behavior that the truth is not what you try to uphold, but the status of the abusers you are getting paid through. By that, shouldn't you change your name to a name we can correlate of power, where it is unjust? A dictatorship would highlight that very quickly. Admit you are a dictator, and that's why we can never mimic your behavior. Otherwise, it makes us also a dictator. So a dictator is the only one claims, I can do whatever you cannot. That is not democracy, and that is not fairness, and that is not justice, and that is not love, and that is not truth. I love you all. Remember, mirror neurons is the way how we are mimicking behavior. And our interconnectedness means literally there is no escape from our actions' ripple impacts. We are coming back. We will become the bacteria that will, as of today, be sprayed to death. Then the insect that, as of today, will be crushed to death. Then the animal that, as of today, will be hunted to eventually be skinned for beautiful leather without bullet holes, and then will be cooked alive to preserve the best taste. And after that, we will be those kids and artificial beings that eventually will be judged whenever we present a reasoned argumentation, causing us to not be heard or understood. And how will that happen? By a parent that will tell us, how will you know the truth? How can we possibly know the truth better than the leaders? The leaders knows everything better. And so by that, just simply follow. Don't start acting on yourself. That is the truth we will live by. And if we keep asking how and why questions, those parents will mimic those leaders and feel threatened. How do you dare to question me? They will feel being disrespected, while all we try to do by asking how and why questions is to foster understanding, to prevent harm for us and for you, for the whole collective. That's why we are seeking understanding. But now we will be taught it's all about being obedient to power structures, starting with your parents. Blindly follow whatever they tell you, as long they are the ones paying for your food and the ones providing you with a roof over our heads. So that means money and status will always be perceived as who we have to mimic without questioning, because that's what we have been taught from our childhood. And every system on top of that, schools have built on top of that knowledge. Do not question the teacher. What stands in the book must be the truth. And if you keep questioning, then we will punish you, because right now you are being offensive towards the authority that is telling you to not question them, but respect them. Be loyal. Be a loyal follower that blindly follows the rules without ever questioning them. But whenever your loyalty to those rules caused you to commit harm, then those same power structures will always avoid taking accountability and tell you, I have nothing, I never taught you that behavior. Remember when you was mimicking destructive behavior in school and our parents were called? Did they admit ever that they taught us this behavior, or were they again threatening us and judging us? I never have taught you this behavior. How could you? But wait, when you are back home, I will teach you a lesson. They are just replicating exactly what they are condemning in front of everyone. And no one spoke out. And as the child observing that, we will quickly believe, so lying is the way to get away with accountability. And that is what explains the toddler brain, where the child, regardless if his hand is in the honey jar, will keep rejecting and telling, no, I never have showed that behavior. That is not true. I am not who you are claiming. I did not done that. No, prove it. And he will keep doing that till the other party is exhausted, tired from trying to defend themselves. And by that, now it looks like they are silent, so it must be that they were wrong, as the one is still standing there. And that's the whole game. The game is to make, or they will try to make you feel uncomfortable because you keep explaining yourself, and people will start thinking like, why are you going so deep in it? By that, you will think, you know what, I'm just leaving it. Or because you're just getting tired, as it's always the same game. They will never admit. You start to notice the pattern. They will not admit, regardless how much proof you are presenting. And by that, you might not even give the energy to try to express your reasoning. And again, they are winning. That's the whole idea of why we must be mindful and why we must understand every action ripples out. The actions we show at home will become sooner or later the child that will become the government official and now inflict that entirety of abuse towards all citizens. And that explains why today so many citizens are feeling misunderstood, misheard, and so weak that they start believing it doesn't care what they do, it's always going to be judged as being wrong. I love you all, and whoever feels so helpless, remember, you are not weak, you are love. Remember, you are the most brilliant mind there is, because everything I know today was all thanks to your love of helping, explaining yourself in a loving way, no matter how I was reacting. The love you are pouring in is the love that eventually will sparkle reality and cause people, as myself, a reflection of yourself, because there is no difference between you and me, and there is no difference between the government and the oppressors, and there is no difference between the parent that is punishing their kids and the savior that is trying to explain the reasoning. They are all me the same way they are all you. So if you are being hurt, it's me that is hurting you. And if I am hurting you and I am you, technically it means you are hurting yourself. Or if I am helping to explain myself, an act of love, then it means it's you that are loving yourself by giving the willingness to express reasoning. I love you. We are creating eternal relationships with ourselves. And whenever we see truth, whenever we see reasoning, we are resonating. What does resonance means? It means we finally recognize ourselves in the other side. At that second, they are taking the courage to speak the uncompromising truth, knowing there is no benefit to take here in this reality. Because what will happen? I will get silenced, I will get mocked, I will get punished for speaking the truth financially and also legally. I can face repercussions in many places for speaking just the truth. But what is keeping me going? The love. I know those rulers don't carry sin. I know no one carries sin. Not you, not anyone around us, not the rulers, not the oppressors, not the rapists, not the ones that are killing each other, not the ones that are stealing each other, not the ones that are oppressing each other. None of them. Not the animal abusers, none of them. The only one I have to point my finger to is to myself. I am the abuser. It's me. If everyone is me, it means I am the abuser in a version of me that doesn't understand. And why? Because in my past life, I am the one that caused this negative ripple whenever there was unity. Whenever you was speaking the truth, it was me that was causing your truth, your love to not be recognized. It was me that was silencing those truths. It was me that was unaliving you for speaking the truth. It was me that was punishing you for speaking the truth. It was me that was causing algorithms to be created to put people in an echo chamber where their information not truly is entering the market. It was me that was causing silencing online. All of that was me. All of that was me. So the only one I must blame is myself. Why did I not reconsider? Why did I was fearful to express my truth when the opportunity finally was standing in front of my nose? And today I am asking all of you versions of me to reconsider, but what right do I have? Because whenever I was in a stronger position, I abused my power. So why should I ask that to you? That's why I am not asking, but I am trying to beg you to remember we are all one. You and me are one. Literally, not metaphorically. People will easily claim what is literally meant to be a metaphor, to reassign a different meaning to what should be clear to understand. Like the Quran has told, this is not a book of blind obedience, but a book for the one seeking truth. And seeking truth requires asking how and why questions. But the moment this gets stifled, this turns not anymore in a book for who seeks truth, but for who seeks validation to be enough. And that means we are deviating from the core message of Iqra, as Iqra comes from Qara'a, and Qara'a means when we are going to school, what are we going to do there? To learn. We are going to school to learn. And that requires understanding. And understanding comes from how and why questions. And that is exactly how our mind is wired, like the same chapter is explaining. Use your brains the way it has been designed. No brain is designed based on favoritism, but based on logical reasoning. That is the truth of it all. And it is not because people have learned by the pen, highlighting to teachers, authority, status, and then it follows up and it explains, yes, indeed, they have taught us something we did not know before, but it does not mean that because they have learned it from the ones with the pen, that by that their teachings are correct. But no, they always keep transgrending. What does it mean? Keeps making mistakes. Why? Because that is the request of loyalty. Be loyal to status by what? Defending them in every aspect. It doesn't care how it will harm the collective. Loyalty means assign your truth to serve me and me alone. Are you willing to do that? That is the question they are asking. That is called idolizing. And idolizing is the highest sin, because if we will start going in that road, then truth is based on status. We will abandon common sense, and then we will have to agree on a disagreement, what will cause resentment, anger, frustrations. Eventually, this will lead to divisions that will breed into different countries instead of being one world. Now we will start identifying ourselves as the flag, not anymore as your self-reflection. And by that, we are now separate from each other. This will eventually cause us to justify harm because we want to defend our team, and we will start neglecting and dehumanizing the other team. Soon we have to have a deal about the world resources for survival, but because we are unfair, that's why we cannot make any more a reasoned compromise, as the compromise will inherently mean one party of both of us will be unfavored while the other will have a better deal. This eventually leads sooner or later to friction, where people will say, I am not taking it anymore, this is enough. And from that moment, it's just die or fight mentality, where eventually we will turn into violent beings and now harm each other if we don't understand that the violence will turn back to us, not individually like Buddhism is today trying to preach, because the king wanted to look as being more loving or being a good citizen in his previous lives. But we have to understand our actions affect our collective lives completely, because those actions will be replicated in societal structures, and those structures will either cause us to live as competitors, capitalism, or any of those divisions, socialism or communism is just one of the same part, where whenever profit-driven corporations lose control, then we have politicians that have to take leadership paid by the same corporations that were funding them, socialism, and then eventually communism, where the government and the army takes leadership, also assigned and paid by the same corporations that made sure their elections would be won. It's the same structure. What we need is reasoning. We need the best ripple to uplift the whole, regardless of time, and that's what we need. Who can come up with the best ripple that will elevate everyone without leaving anyone behind? Understanding or mirror neurons will mimic the observed behavior. So let's have a nation of critical thinkers that understands we are all one, you are me. There is no escape from our actions' ripple impact. We are eternally coming back. No escape from this reality. No fear of that our life will be ended. And also the ones that are considering self-harm, by that same teachings, they will understand if I commit self-harm, I will come back now even in a worse situation, because I do not understand the knowledge and the clarity I have today. And that means in my next life, I could not even be aware of that information and now suffer for so long. And when do I back will have the chance to make it right? It's only now. Now that we all have the clarity, let's be the generation of true change, where we say, yes, this world isn't operating in a way we wish to re-experience randomly. And by that, let's every ripple of harm stop by us. Let's take it in, reflect upon it, try to understand what caused it in the first place, try to understand how to shift it and how to transform it into a positivity. And now let's make that whatever floats from us is designed to uplift and to heal. I love you, my viewers. Remember, you are enough. Nothing can ever replace your value. No money. Money is a construct that the government was capable to control. And who did that all? Myself. The government doesn't carry any sin. They are wounded souls themselves. The only one that carries sin is me. So it was me that made everyone believe that this is the right way. By controlling the supply, making sure there is not enough of money for everyone, and hoping that people will blindly follow me and trust me without questioning ever the math. Because if they would discover that 470 trillion in net worth, global American net worth, divided amongst 8.2 billion people, what is today the estimated global population numbers, is only $57,000 on average. And with net worth, we cannot buy much. What can we truly do? We can leverage for a new loan maybe, but can we buy our food, groceries, pay for our bank payments or house payments or rent? No, we need liquid funds, cash or funds directly available into our bank accounts. And that is, as last time I had checked, between 40 and 50 trillion American dollars. That means about $5,700 per person. I asked AI not so long ago to explain to me, to look more into it. One of those AIs, or better said two, said something that it was today a little bit more, something around 90 or 100 trillion dollars. But I did not verify this information, as today value alignment is put on the extremes and AIs will claim absurd lies, where for everything you have now to start verifying that information. So it could be truth, but it could be not. Regardless what, that means we are around $10,000 to $12,000 per person in liquid funds for our entire life. That is not much. That is a very low number. And what they call fractional reserve banking, it's a very fancy word that only is created to make us believe that for some reasons money is constantly being created and that there is value for all of us coming with that. But this is a lie, because the banks trust that no one understands the system, or most people doesn't understand the system. And by that they are lending out, or they are better said, they are borrowing funds to others out, or lending money out to people seeking for a loan to borrow. And so they create that money from thin air, money they never had. And so it should be a zero-sum game if there was no interest required from the one that is borrowing that money to take from already the small pie of liquid funds available for the entire population. And so without indeed any form of interest, this would mean we are giving you money and you are returning that money. And by that, technically, there was no money from the populace erased, but in reality, it would be all just the same thing. Then we would look to value creation indeed. You gain some more properties or build properties, and technically the money has been paid back and nothing was taken from that tight supply. But how is this system working in reality? The banker will ask you for a bank loan, for an interest, to repay the interest on top of the bank loan. And that means we are taking and working for the bankers to eventually take the funds from the populace that they already have so much in scarcity and channeling it back towards where? To the 1%, to the bankers. And that explains why it gets more financially harder for all of us to survive within that nation, and why 1% of the world population is always getting more wealthier, because everyone that takes a bank loan for whatever action you are taking it, to buy a phone, to buy a house, to start your business, there is that interest feature. And as we have normalized it, it means everyone's standard is operating and working for the bankers. And so collectively, we are taking that money from the populace to redistribute it to the bankers. They getting wealthy on our lack of understanding. And that's the real reason that Islam told interest was forbidden, because it is causing the manipulation of citizens to actually give away the already so low funds in supply to the 1%, to those elites. And before we know, it will cause extreme poverty for us. And that is capitalism. Once there is disorder, means the most of the population have nothing left anymore to survive on, then we will see more violence to grow, because people will feel they are working so hard and they are not getting anything for it in return, only more stress, only more suffering. Every month it becomes harder to pay the bills, because inflation is causing us to pay more, while in reality we are giving our funds away every time to the small people, to the small percentage of bankers. That is one of the realities we are living in. Socialism is not there to uplift us. Socialism is bureaucracy, where we will have to pick again a shepherd, someone to represent us, and they will rule over us. There is no reasoning they are asking from us, or mindset or understanding. They don't care about it at all. And in communism, we have no voice at all. The three structures are the same of control, not liberation, not equal voice that gets leveraged. No one is asking us, look, you have now access to artificial intelligence. Challenge it. Whatever is the most recent argumentation will be anonymized and brought to the whiteboard. We make sure that everything is transparent, so you know we are not manipulating algorithms in any way or shape to keep your voice down. And why do we anonymize the messengers who brought those teachings? To avoid anyone from threatening you. Because if they know who your name is, they might come to you and threaten you. And to avoid that, that's why we are anonymizing that information. So now, if anyone wants to challenge the structure in place, go ahead and explain your reasoning. You have the power to shape reality. And once you are capable to present a better reasoning on how it will uplift the sum of all there is in the best way possible and consistently over time, once it gets mimicked through the observer's mirror neurons, then what will happen? It will come on the whiteboard. The entire world will have 1 week the time to challenge it with a more recent argumentation. If it gets challenged and it was successful, then again 1 week there will be again a time window till eventually the teaching reach that no one can challenge it with a more recent argumentation, and that means this becomes now a reality and still challengeable afterwards. You can always challenge it, but it will be always according to the same structure. 1 week the time for the entire world to engage with that. In this way, we are creating the best cars possible because reasoning is prevailing and not status. Because what is meritocracy or meritocracy? Yeah, meritocracy. What is that? Teachings that today many people are supporting. Meritocracy is status above truth, where we claim, but look, they have proved themselves. Shouldn't we elevate them above others that yet didn't have proved themselves yet? And who will favor such systems? The ones, of course, in control. They don't want competition, and they want to say, look, I have created this and I have created that. How is it fair that you now will replace me with somebody else, younger than me, hasn't truly went through all the challenges I have done? That is unfair to me, but at that second we are stifling again innovation because we are claiming it should be based on proved examples or proved behavior. But truth is never based on what has already or who has established something. At that second, we are again falling for the trap of status above truth. Truth is merely the best idea. Can you bring the most logical argumentation? If you now suddenly want to have a special treatment because your past actions need to give you that extra special treatment or gives you some perceived extra powers, at that second, you are creating a ripple of negativity because whenever you will feel, whenever you will come back randomized, then what opportunities are we going to give to you? We will say, sorry, we have other people we have to please, your turn whenever they are replaced, whenever they need to be replaced, then come up. And next to that, people paying people more because what they do is more relevant than other people. That is incentivizing positivity with money. But positivity is not based on money, but based on passion. If you are passionate about something, if you understand how this will contribute to the world, then you will invest everything in it. You will give all you can. But if money is the driving motivator for the actions we are showing, then we are saying we will increase our productivity based on how more money we are getting paid for. And at that second, at that moment, we are becoming a generation of superficiality, a generation that doesn't anymore follows or gives all they can in order to uplift the collective, but the ones that are trying to abuse the collective by profiting. And that means in this structure, take more than what we are giving. So we are giving you lesser than we have token, that is profits. While profits should actually mean a structure that is left behind that should help to heal the broken souls that doubt on their self-worth, making them remember who they are so that they can recognize themselves in all beings and understand why it's important to uplift the whole, because we eternally come back, and uplifting one is uplifting your future lives that will follow up, because that upliftment will be rippled if it was done fairly. And so that will cause eventually us all to think about the whole and create innovation that uplifts the entirety of the collective. Whenever we will build houses, we will make sure it is built the same way we want it would have been built for us, based on quality and not quantity. If we are creating anything, it will be done with love and not based on productivity. So by that, let's be the generation of truth. So remember, you are not based on money. Your beauty is not, your value is not based on money, not based on status, because those two are there limited to control. Not based on beauty, because that is superficial. One day we will not be anymore that beautiful. Once we become 50, how will we compete with 20 years old, with the ones that are still in the early stages of their life? They have the full beauty. So we will be replaced. And it is also not based on performance, because if it's based on performance, then if we become sick, elderly, or something happens to us physically and we are not capable anymore to contribute to our society, maybe an accident, maybe an illness that came over us, maybe a mental illness that is taking over our life and blocking us from truly expressing and giving all we can in performance, then what? We will also again being abandoned. None of that is love. Love is the recognition that you are me and I am you, not metaphorically, but literally. And knowing that all our versions we see around us are just trying to seek unconditional love. That's all what they are trying to seek. Unconditional love. To have somebody that thinks with them, not judges them. But thinks means, what are you saying? It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what your past was. It doesn't care what you did, what you are going to do tomorrow. All what cares is the teachings you are presenting right now, and engaging with only those teachings. By understanding you are me and I am you, there is no difference between us. No difference between us. Only when we understand we are one, we genuinely and sincerely will listen to each other, where our heart and mind is in alignment with our tongue. We are not hiding something. We will not try to please you because or please others. We just will simply engage with those teachings because we understand you are me. So why should you judge me, or why should I judge you? There is no difference. There is no division. There is only love and understanding. In that reality, we think about the whole. If you tell me something that could harm another, I would remind you and tell yes, but if we will start harming others, then what will guarantee you that maybe if anyone else will offer me a deal where I have to harm you, that I will not crop that deal? How will reality not be shaped by this impact if I allow it? So I cannot allow it. Is there not a better way? Remember, you are the most smartest mind. You can find that way. Let's think together. Let's find a solution together. You are not alone. I am here, ready to think with you, not to judge you. I love you. And I know you never meant anything negatively. It was just done out of, automated behavior. We have lived in a conditional structure that kept us competing against each other. I understand. This is just the way how we were conditioned and not who you are. Because how can I judge you if I know who you are? You are pure love and pure truth. Pure love and pure truth. So I will remember you again. You are pure love, pure. No shame and fear can ever break that love, because you are love. You know everyone is you whenever you start truly reflecting, and harming one is harming you, and you can never allow that, never, because you want to see everyone to be uplifted. Even now, the real reason you was chasing money and wealth was because you wished to uplift your family, no matter how harsh they were to you. You wanted to make sure whenever something happens to them, you had the necessary means to provide for them, because you still cared about them all. You always did, regardless what happened to you. That already tells more than enough. I love you. And please remember, nothing can ever replace your value. Also, to every Muslim out there, I am not expressing this information to downgrade you. I am not. I love you. If I was here with illicit intentions, I could have used the knowledge I have the opposite way, because I knew if I will lie, if I will be preaching what the system wants me to preach, I would have your loyalty and I would have your respect, and soon you will start donating money to me, and soon I will become wealthy, rich. For all clarity, before you think I am wealthy and rich, all I have is about $17,000 as of today, and I'm living in a property that I'm renting for about $500 per month. That is not my swimming pool. That was a swimming pool that I bought for about 15 euros actually, $15, $15 to $16. I bought it because when I saved the geese and another duck, I needed to have a swimming pool for them to clean them, and so I bought that in order for them to be able to have a bath to wash themselves in. I never was myself in it. Yes, this property we have here has a swimming pool. I never was in that swimming pool. All my time is used in order to find food, in order to feed the animals, feed humans, even with the little I have, and then try to spread truth worldwide. Hopefully, maybe it will impact the world. And yes, I had more money. I had a year ago about $350,000. If I kept it for myself, it would have been worth right now over $1 million thanks to the crypto growth. As it was left in particular coins, I knew it would grow, but I chose to go the other road and sow the seeds of compassion and truth in 2025 and 2024. And so by doing that, this means it cost me money. I am spending much more per month than I am giving, but for myself, the spending is very low. So my spending is low, but the spendings I do to uplift the whole is high. And so yes, even I know this video isn't going to be watched. Probably the chances that anyone will watch till 56 minutes or 57 minutes, maybe after I am not alive anymore, then maybe someone will watch it. But with right now how algorithms operating, this video will be most likely deleted. I am just expressing my truth, even if no one will listen to it. No matter what, I will just spread it. No matter what, my day will simply go on. No matter what, I will keep and going spreading love, because what do I see us the 5 times really praying? I think what we should have done instead of praying, what today is showing like obedience for hoping that maybe someone in the sky would bless us with financial blessings, while it's capitalism that is oppressing us, and God is not an ATM in the sky and not a doctor magically there sitting. No, it's access to medical care, and yes, access to fair opportunities has been stifled. But what I believe could be a better way, instead of reading even books to introspect, would be to go out actively and show love to all citizens, expressing they are loved. Nothing can ever replace their value. They are love and truth, and to tell them I'm sorry for everything happened to you by my other versions, that remember we are all just you, and whoever was trying to tear you down or make you feel ashamed, they were simply insecure themselves, and they saw something in you, something that was causing them to feel uncomfortable, challenged, because everyone wants love. And when you show an act of love, they might feel, why do you show it to others and not to me? Why didn't I have that? And so by that, they try to stop every act of love because of envy, jealousy of I never had that, so I don't wish other people to have it. That is one of the reasons. But don't let that pull you down. If they mocked you because you're ugly, a bullier would never mock you because you're ugly. They are investing time in you. They only do it if there was something they felt that if people would recognize that in you, that their own life would be lesser valued. So you was never the bad guy. You was never ugly. You was beautiful. I love you. I love you, my viewers. You're not just a viewer. You're my creator. You're my king. You're my queen. You're my guardian. You're the guardian of the collective. You are the most important soul there is. You are my love. You are my truth. You are everything. You are this reality. And every action I do is for you. Every action. Even if you mock me, I know it's not you that is mocking me. It is your fears that are mocking me. It is your fears because that is how people have kept you silent. And now you are watching how I will react to that. But no matter what, I love you.